Today, as we celebrate the feast of the institution of the Holy Eucharist, let us reflect on the Gospel passage, St. Luke chapter 22, verses 14 to 20, the institution of the Holy Eucharist. In verse 15, we read, I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. St. Luke chapter 22 verse 19, we hear, Then he took bread, gave thanks, broke it, and gave it to them, saying, This is my body, which is given for you. And he did the same with the cup and said, This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. In St. Luke chapter 19 verse 10, we hear, He came to seek what was lost. The God who acted in history to save Israelites also acted in history to deliver us through the sacrifice of His Son. The sacrifice of the new covenant began in the upper room with the institution of the Holy Eucharist. In the upper room, Jesus symbolically and actually began the sacrifice. He broke Himself and gave to His disciples, and He said, Do this in remembrance of me. Today, this sacrifice of Christ is continued and celebrated on the altars of the Church around the world. Each time when we receive Holy Communion, we receive the body and blood of Christ. Whenever we participate in the Holy Eucharist, it's an invitation for us to reflect how much I break myself, my talents, my beings, and my havings in my day-to-day life. In Ephesians chapter 4, we read, Be kind to one another, compassionate, and mutually forgiving, just as God has forgiven you in Christ. Be imitators of Christ as His dear children. Follow me the way of love, even as Christ loved you. So, dear brothers and sisters, let us be compassionate, generous, loving, and forgiving, and let us become the living bread, the Eucharist for others.